Good evening and good morning to Dr. Jennifer Williams. Good evening, Sokini ma'am and all educators.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Ms. Williams.
Dr. Jennifer, how are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing wonderful. So excited to be a part of this event. Thank you for welcoming me back. It's great to see you all and can't wait to get going.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Sokini, I think we can begin. I'll just introduce you. Just a minute.
Yes, sir. All set.
Sohini Roy Biswas, who holds a first-class master's degree in English literature from the esteemed University of Calcutta and B.Ed degree from Jiwaji University. She is a distinguished figure in the realm of English education with over 14 years of enriching experience. Sohini's journey in education has been marked by excellence and dedication. She served as the postgraduate teacher and head of department for English at Amrita Vidyalayam, New Delhi, where her leadership and expertise shone brightly. Sohini's commitment to academic excellence has been recognized on numerous occasions, including a prestigious certificate of appreciation from the former Education Minister, Ms. Smriti Irani. Furthermore, Sohini's expertise has been sought after by the Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, where she has served as an evaluator for Grade 12 English examinations for an impressive 8 years. Currently, she is shaping young minds as a PGT English at 21K School, bringing her wealth of experience and passion to inspire the next generation of learners. Hearty welcome Ms. Sohini Roy to Extra Mile Education and Training.
Yes, Ms. Sohini, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Good evening and warm greetings to all. In the words of Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I'm delighted to welcome you to this crucial session focused on embedding the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, within our educational framework. Extra Mile Education and Training is committed not only to providing cutting-edge training to educators worldwide, but also to ensuring education imparted today makes a better planet tomorrow. In keeping with this ideal, today's webinar represents a significant opportunity to empower all stakeholders with the knowledge and strategies needed to make the SDGs a central part of their teaching. I would like to extend a warm welcome to our esteemed resource person, Dr. Jennifer Williams, and our program director, Dr. Abdul Salam. A heartfelt welcome to all our participants who have joined us today from various parts of the country and beyond. Today's session will focus on how we, the educators, can effectively integrate the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals into our lessons and curricula. The SDGs are a global call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that our next generation gets to enjoy peace and prosperity. By embedding these goals into our educational practices, we can help shape students who are academically proficient, socially responsible, and globally aware. After all, the future we want starts with the education we provide today. But before we begin, here are a few guidelines to ensure a smooth and interactive experience. Turning on your device camera is optional. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to type them in the meeting chat box. For an engaging experience, we encourage that you note down all your queries and bring them up during the Q&A session at the end. I'm sure our esteemed resource person, Dr. Williams, will be delighted to address all your questions. Please use the raise hand feature when you wish to ask a question live and wait for your name to be called out. To receive your certificate of participation, kindly fill out the feedback form that will be shared at the end of the session. Now, let me introduce our esteemed speakers for the evening. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Abdul Salam, a renowned CBSE resource person and master trainer who has played a significant role in the education sector as an assessor for the National Accreditation Board of Education and Training under the Government of India. Dr. Salam is the founder and CEO of Extra Mile Education and Training and Bharat Transformers Academic Group. Sir, we are honored to have you with us today. I kindly invite you to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Jennifer Williams, for coming to our platform to share your insights and thoughts to motivate our young minds, teachers and all. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity given to Extra Mile and to the educators. Hearty welcome to all the educators, heads, leaders, teachers, and students who have joined this evening for a noble cause and for an immediate action, I should say, because we can see the earth being disturbed or rather destroyed, and lots of calamities around us. Recently, everybody might have read or watched that Kerala, a huge landslide has occurred, and that is not a single landslide that has occurred. It is a series of landslides that is happening across India and across the globe. You can see flood and all these calamities are on the increase. The frequency is on the increase, and we should say even if we call it calamities, we should call it man-made disasters. They are man-made, in fact. So it is everybody's responsibility. Even United Nations has an agenda to fulfill the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030 with the help of all the people on the earth. And schools, teachers and students are the best medium and the people who can do their, I think, at least a bit to make awareness among the public and save the earth. And Dr. Jennifer is here with certain action plans, which we will carry out through the schools in India with all your help, students and teachers. We need your help. We have to work hand in hand. Then only we can do something to help, save the earth for future generations at least. And Dr. Jennifer has been serving the world, is very much dedicated, and she has dedicated her time and efforts for the cause of this environment. And as far as India is concerned, new education policy also emphasizes sustainable development goals and environmental education, which is going to be a very compulsory paper for even high school students. So we have to spring into action, and Jennifer ma'am will share certain action plans, and she will show how to inculcate this SDGs in our daily lesson and curriculum so that we can carry out certain action and in the community, in the neighborhood, to save them from destructions. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Thank you once again, Dr. Jennifer. Let's sit back and listen to Dr. Jennifer and take away lots of things that will definitely lead us to, do some action, some deeds that will definitely help the art. Thank you so much once again. Good evening, everybody. Hearty welcome. Over to
Thank you, Dr.
Sohini.
Salam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Salam. Thank you so much for setting the tone for today's session. Now, it is my great pleasure to introduce our esteemed resource person for this evening, Dr. Jennifer Williams. Dr. Williams co-founded Take Action Global, a non-profit organization devoted to climate education for all. She's also the founder of Teach SDGs. She's a leading advocate for integrating global perspectives and social good into education through the creative use of technology. As an educator, author, thought leader, Dr. Williams' work is focused on innovations in teaching and learning, promoting equity and diversity in education, and also inspiring responsible social action. Dr. Williams, we are truly honored to have you with us today. Your expertise in aligning education with the UN SDGs and your passion for fostering global citizenship in the students inspire us all. On behalf of everyone present here, I welcome you and invite you to lead today's session. Over to you, Dr. Williams.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sohini. It's wonderful to be with you all today. I appreciate that kind introduction and so honored to be with you and seeing all of the excellence you are leading in education with your introduction as well. I'm happy to as well share my appreciation to Dr. Salam and this kind introduction to join you all back again for an evening of discussion around the SDGs. So thank you so much, sir. I'm thrilled to see so many teachers and students that are joining in for this evening's conversation around integration of the UN Sustainable Development Goals into your curriculum. So we will be together for about the next hour to discuss an action plan that you all can look at for the months ahead. So I will be sharing resources. We will have some activities that we can work on together. And then at the end, I would love to hear any questions or new ideas that you all may have. So as I mentioned in the chat, I am joining here from my home in the United States. I am based in Florida, and so we are just starting our day and our weekend, and I have a presentation that I'm going to be sharing my screen and you will have access to as well. So let me share my presentation and then we will go ahead and get started. All right, so as I mentioned, we are going to be covering a conversation today around an action plan on ways that you can integrate the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals into your lessons this year. If you are a teacher, we have some projects and some best practices. And then if you are a youth or a student, hopefully you can get involved in some of these projects as well. So we'll be going through those today. I know you all in India have been leading the charge with work around the SDGs, but if the SDGs are new for you, we will talk about foundationally how these goals came to be and where we're at in the process. Again, my thanks and appreciation to Dr. Salam and Ms. Sohini and the entire team at Extra Mile. So let's get started. Today, we're going to be talking about several topics. As Ms. Sohini mentioned, I am here representing a global community of educators and youth who are working each day to bring in social impact and sustainability into our schools. With Take Action Global, we are working on most specifically SDG 4, which is quality education, and SDG 13, climate action. So we have a mission of climate action for all, and we're doing that with educators like you from over 160 countries. I'm the proud author of Teach Boldly, Using EdTech for Social Good, a published book from the ISTE organization. And I've shared here a few of the hashtags that I use across social media regularly. In our work, we are looking to bring together a community, teachers, students, stakeholders that are looking towards the future. So probably a lot of you here today are already a part of our Take Action Global community, working to teach the SDGs. And so greetings to you all. Again, I'm here representing our nonprofit 501c3 organization, Take Action Global. And we are a registered nonprofit in the United States of America, working with ministries of education and schools across the world. So currently, we are working with about 6 million teachers and students on this mission of climate action education. So we're both working with climate science stakeholders, climate scientists, world leaders, politicians, and then equally, we're working with schools, education leaders, teachers, students, and parents. What we found is looking through an asset-based community development approach, building on what works on both the side of climate and education. So we're working to develop programs and practices that are systemic, that are sustainable, that are based on science and research. We want to find ways to integrate these sustainable development goals into the curriculum. So as the topic of our conversation today, looking at an interdisciplinary approach. So sustainability doesn't need to be reserved for environmental science classrooms in a high school class. They can be across the curriculum and across every grade level. So every person can be a part of this work and this conversation. Where we settle in and get excited is right in the middle around action. So we don't want our students just reading about sustainable development. We want them to be active participants in the work. We do see that collective action where teachers and students around the world are working together is where we get the most impact. And then finally, we want to ensure that it is experiential. Students, teachers, schools working out in the community as stewards of action. So we're going to be sharing today about some of the ways that teachers and students are already doing this and ways you can get involved. Along the way, we have started working with some fantastic organizations who are also committed to the work around sustainability and supporting education. I do a lot of work with the United Nations, the creators of our amazing SDGs. So though I'm based in Florida in the United States, I'm in New York City about a week every month. So I'm working with the United Nations, New York City Public Schools, and the New York City Mayor's Office. We're using that relationship as kind of a blueprint how other cities around the world can get involved in the SDGs. So more on that soon. We also do a lot of work with the United States Department of State and embassies around the world. We have a fun program built around learning through play with Lego Group that we'll be sharing today. And then we're working with different organizations committed to educational best practices like ISTE and of course your organization. So I mentioned at the beginning that we are rooted in community. And so our organization, our work, we're a group of teachers like you. We started with a small group of educators committed to the SDGs. And then over the years, we've seen this community grow, develop, and be empowered to create change. So you're going to hear about some of the educators that we're working with and ways that you can get involved as well. So I wanted to share a few of our foundational resources that we look to as we're developing out programs and practices. UNESCO is a wonderful partner of ours. I'm going to be sharing a few of the resources that UNESCO has created as guides for us as teachers when we're looking to do this work. So the first one I'm going to share, and this is one that was published in the year 2021, and it's called Reimagining Our Futures Together, a new social contract for education. So before we start even talking about sustainable development, we're looking at our work as educators and learners. And so this contract, published by UNESCO, really helps guide us. As you can see here, they have several proposals for transforming and renewing education. So though all of them are important, today we're going to be focused on this first practice, which is around pedagogy. And I'll read this here. You can see pedagogy should be organized around the principles of cooperation, collaboration, and solidarity. And if you read more into this chapter, there's a few points that I'd like to bring out for our conversation today. I think you will see themes around principles for dialogue and action that focus on interconnectedness and interdependencies, again, supporting this idea of sustainability across the curriculum. There's an emphasis on incorporating cooperation and collaboration. So we don't want students, again, just working within classrooms. We want to find ways that they can work together. Today's conversation and the series that you all are a part of is a wonderful example of that. Working together over time with people who are in different settings and who may be looking at this work through a different lens. Of course, ideas around solidarity, compassion, ethics, and empathy should be integrated into how we learn. And then ideas around assessment. So when we're thinking about ways to assess learning and building knowledge, sometimes we might need to think in new ways and creative ways as we approach sustainability and sustainable development. All right, so I'm going to get us right in and interacting. So if you have a mobile device or if you are on your desktop, I'm going to be sharing a QR code and a link with you in just a moment. So we're going to be using a tool called Padlet. Hopefully you are familiar with this tool. This has been one of our favorite tools for collaboration in addition to Zoom over the past several years. And we're going to be sharing some new ways that you can use Padlet. And you'll see here that I've added in several columns. This will be a board that you can take with you. You can add in your questions and your resources after today's session. So as we go through, I'm going to be sharing resources and putting the links here that you can access. But we're going to get started here in the second column where we're going to be able to introduce ourselves. I'll share that link with you in just a moment. But before I do that, I'm going to demonstrate to you how you can use this. Again, this is something we're going to use today, but this is something that I'll show you how you can use when you're integrating the SDGs into your classroom and into your activities. So Padlet allows you can click down here in the bottom corner, but here we're going to work within columns. So I'm going to click the plus sign, and it's going to give me the opportunity to share some information. So I'm going to say, my name is Jennifer Williams, and for today's purposes, I'm going to put my location. And I'm going to put two SDGs that I love. I'm going to put SDG 4 and SDG 13. So I'll move my Zoom settings around. What we're able to do now in Padlet is use AI. So I wanted to show you a new way that you can use technology. And this is a way we've been approaching the SDGs, specifically around creativity and creative expression. So Padlet has this feature called I Can't Draw. And so this will allow you to put in a generative AI prompt. So I'm going to put in climate action for all. Of course, you can put in any topic you'd like that will describe the work that you're doing. And then we'll wait just a few moments for it to generate an image. I should have a selection of images that I will be able to choose from, and then I'll be able to add that to my post. So here, as you can see, my generative AI prompt was quite general. I, of course, could add in more details if I'd like, but I see a few pictures here. Looks like this is a young girl. Maybe she's taking climate action. this is a view of our planet Earth, and it looks like we have some destructive practices, but then it looks like wind power here, maybe some new practices that can protect our planet. I see people here working together to create change, and then it looks like a beautiful beach cleanup here. So I'm going to go ahead and select the beach cleanup because it represents my home too in Florida. And then you'll see that image populate here on my image. And I'm going to publish that and it will add here. So I'm going to turn it over to you and give you a moment for you to be able to add in your introduction to our Padlet board. After I share the Padlet board and you do your introduction, you will also be able to use this to share your notes, resources. If you have ideas around SDGs and bringing those into schools, use this space to add those in. And if you have questions, please feel free to share them here. And you can also share them in the chat box. So I'm going to come back over to my deck here, and I'm going to give you 2 ways to access this Padlet board. The first is going to be with a QR code that you can use, and the second will be in the chat with the link. So please feel free to take a moment, join me in our Padlet board, and then I will come back over to the board to see your greetings in action. Again, you have a QR code here. You can use your mobile device to take a picture. If you're on a desktop device, you can use the link that I just shared, and you can add in your greeting. All right, I'll head back over to our Padlet and see. Another great thing about Padlet, if you see at the top, I'm able to see that we have over 20 people who have already joined in the board. As a teacher, this is great to have an understanding if you're working in a virtual setting or if you're working in your classroom setting with students with devices, then you can monitor engagement. So I'm seeing that you all are starting to post up. Please feel free if you want to share your name, where you're joining from, SDGs that you're committed to, and then you can test out some of those features. The one I shared was the generative AI feature called I Can't Draw. So Dr. Salam, greetings to you. I see Banu from the Abatur Chennai in the TI school. Welcome, great to see you here. Senthil, wonderful. Lakshmi. Okay, so it looks like Ranjana has shared a generative AI post. It looks like there's wonderful things happening in this beautiful setting, and it's all lit up with the sun and the sun shining on this building. Hi, Vanita, great to see you. A good friend of Take Action Global. Hi, Bana. Great. Okay, so take some time with that. I'll check back. I'm looking forward to seeing your creations and your designs, and then any questions you have. Vimala, that's beautiful. Focus on sustainability. I see a teacher in a classroom. There's some beautiful sunshine, natural light coming in, plants all around the room. It looks like these young students are very engaged and active. And oh, this is great. So we have students that are out marching. There is no Planet B. That's great news. All right, great. Well, have fun with that. I'll return back over to our Padlet board in just a little bit. So I'm going to keep moving as you're working on that. And we're going to talk about some different stories of inspiration and my journey as we moved into this idea of teachers and students as creators of change. And so for me, I can tell you when I started in my work as an educator, I started in K-12 education, then moved to university. And at this point, I think I've worked with about every age level. I've worked with students as young as age 1, all the way up through adult learners. And when I started in my teaching practice, after coming out of university myself, I was approached in a classroom with this idea of consumption. Here is your boxed curricula. Here is the textbook that you should be using, and kind of stand in front of the room and you pour ideas into your students. Well, several years into my teaching practice, I found this idea and a community of educators who are working to inspire students to create the future. And so we moved from this kind of idea of consumption to creation, but then I was inspired, what if we were to have our students not just be creating for a scenario of a what if future, but what if they were able to take action on the ideas that meant something to them today? Our students have incredible ideas. They're very creative, and they're involved in this mission of sustainability. So I started to work with global educators, and my mission shifted a little bit more around this idea of accessibility. How can we ensure that youth around the world and their educators have access to information, to ideas, and to opportunities? Working through this model of social good and finding ways that teachers and students can promote human well-being on a large scale. So what does that look like in practice? Because as teachers, we have been locked into these ideas of literacy, numeracy, arts, social studies. But when we think about our work in these different areas, environmental justice and sustainability, social inclusion, peace, harmony, and collaboration, allowing us to bring all of these topics across our content areas, we can then work for social impact and change. So a second resource that I'm going to share with you before we get into our projects, this also comes from UNESCO, and it came out in the year 2023, last year. Every year, UNESCO puts out what they call a Global Education Monitoring Report, the GEM report. This report is designed with research that is meant to guide educational practices globally. There's a topic each year. I'm proud to say that this year's topic for 2024 is climate education, and we've been working with UNESCO on getting this report prepared and now distributed out. But this 2023 report was something that I think a lot of us here care about: technology in education. And they approached this question: can technology solve the most important challenges in education? One of the main themes that came out of this report was around accessibility. And so they found that though we've made progress, we still have so many students that are out of school around the world. So they are students and youth without access to some of these basic fundamentals of education. They also found that when surveyed, many thought that the right to education was synonymous with connectivity. So if you didn't have connection to Wi-Fi and the internet, then you weren't able to be educated properly, which I thought was an interesting finding. And then finally, I saw that there was this theme that we can look to developing countries for inspiration, moving through not just barriers and challenges, but opportunities and assets that they were finding and using to overcome some of the challenges that they had. All of this, of course, so meaningful for me in the work around the UN SDGs and sustainability. All right, so let's dive in. I have 3 big stories for you today, and excited to start with our first one, something we all care so much about with the UN SDGs, our global goals, and a story around education landing a big role. Now, of course, we all come from this world of education, and so many of us say it's the best profession. We're so honored to be teachers. We have the best job in the world. But what I always found was sometimes out in industry, education wasn't on a same playing field as other professions. But for me, I saw that change in the year 2015, when our world came together and agreed upon these 17 global goals that we call the SDGs, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, an agenda for 2030, giving us 17 global goals that we as a world could work together towards, that had an expiration date of the year 2030. So 15 years that we all needed to work quickly to create change. So of course, we have our very own goal, which is SDG 4. Again, SDG 4 giving us this big role in education. Of course, when we talk to teachers, though, we know our work is across all of these goals, but quality education, ensuring inclusive and equitable access to quality education for all. So I was part of a small delegation working with the United Nations back in 2016. And out of that, working with educators, working with UNESCO, UNICEF, and the United Nations, we came together to establish Teach SDGs. And Teach SDGs is a space for all. Every educator, every youth can use this hashtag and this community for this mission around the SDGs. So this is a story around Amy, and she was one of my university students. And so Amy inspired me through a project she had done around literacy to develop a project called the Goals Project. So this was back in 2019, and I wanted to bring together 17 educators who would be also interested in taking action on these SDGs. So I put together this simple website and a simple logo. We called it the Goals Project, and I put it out on social media. Soon after, we had thousands of classrooms signing up to be a part of our Goals Project. That was year one. We've continued on every year. The Goals Project returns this January. So we'll have the Goals Project January through March, and it will be a 6-week project for classrooms anywhere of every age. And you can see this was back in 2019. We had 3,000 classrooms joining from 118 countries. We break into groups with age bands. And so each age group can select a global goal that they're going to work on for 6 weeks. And then we guide them through this process of understanding the global goals. They then are assigned one goal that they will work on for several weeks. Each year we have a theme. So this past year, it was around data visualization. So looking at the way data can be a part of the work that we're doing. So, and every classroom comes with a different solution. So it might be an art installation. It might be an advocacy campaign, a new invention. We might have students creating worlds online. So everything looks differently with the Goals Project. So I'm going to add in on our Padlet board in a moment where you can have access to the Goals Project. It's open for registration for 2025. You can still see our 2024 project here. We have all of the activities that are out here, weeks 1 through 6. And then I wanted to show you this year something we incorporated, again, using Padlet. And so every week we had a youth ambassador to share his or her story around an SDG. And then we had students responding to those ambassadors. So you see here, we had Emma, Anissa, Wezi, Sarah, Ryan, Nico, Rahima, and Saud, and Zachary. And so after the students or our youth ambassadors shared their responses, then you can see we had thousands of posts coming in from students around the world. So then Padlet became this connecting point for students to share their ideas. Again, something that you could do in your classroom any day. You could have your own classroom students collaborating. Maybe you connect with another teacher who is here. At the end of the Goals Project, classrooms are breaking into their SDGs. And then they're posting up their final projects. So I was looking through these a few days ago. Classrooms are still adding their projects up, but this could be a learning device too, as you're starting to bring the SDGs into your classrooms. Then you can look to these other ideas as inspiration. So students teaching students, what a beautiful practice that can be. So I'm going to share the link here. This is the goalsproject.org, and we are going to add this into our resource board. So you'll have access to the Goals Project. And again, this is free, open, everyone can participate. All right, there it is. So I'm going to move it up here so you can see it. Let me look back. So we have some more people who are sharing, and looks like we have some new AI generative images that are coming up. Riha, that's, oh my gosh, absolutely beautiful. It looks like art. We have our planet Earth that has flowers and nature growing around it. Oh, an SDG poster. It's fantastic. Hi, Shreda. I love that picture with the plants. This is beautiful. Looks like a question that's coming in. We'll take that in just a moment. How fantastic. So in just a few minutes, you all are able to share about yourself, your work, connect to others, create an image that is representative of your ideas. That is beautiful. Great to see. Oh, I love these. SDG 3, Adwaith, really nice. You all are doing great. That's fantastic. Okay, so we're going to come back to our board here, and let's see here. I'm going to bring us down to our second topic. So we have the Goals Project. This is something that you can join with your classrooms starting in January. Again, that's a great way to introduce the SDGs to your students and have them connect so they can break into groups and work with other classrooms. So let's talk about sustainability in terms of climate action. And so we had our second story here, shifting to nature calling for help, classrooms responding to that call. And so we saw very early on that this connection between SDG 4, quality education, and SDG 13, climate action, was something we felt schools could lead on. So again, moving my kind of journey, I started with SDG 4, got really interested in partnerships and collaboration, this idea of equity and accessibility, and then landing in the work around climate action. I can tell you my background is not traditionally in climate sciences. It is in education and literacy. But seeing the power and the importance of climate action as the most pressing issue of our time. So I have 3 different projects and events and resources that I'm going to be sharing with you today that you all have access to. They are all free and available for you for use this school year. So the first one's coming up soon. So this is one I wanted to make sure that I shared with you. And if you've been a part of the Climate Action Project, please share in the chat. We are back again this year. So similar to the Goals Project, the Climate Action Project is a 6-week project. This is our largest project. We are bringing together millions of students and teachers who are working on this idea of sustainability across the curriculum. So it's 6 weeks, it's free. We bring students in starting at the end of September 30th. It's all done online. And we start to talk about the causes and effects of climate change. Then we move right into solutioning, and students are able to create, share their stories. You'll see here on our website, we do a lot around tree planting. And then we have opportunities for students to share their solutions. So this is within the platform. You can see here, people are still adding their solutions in, so you can access those. And then my favorite part of the project is around that idea of connection. So when you're registered in the project, you will have access to this online community of practice where you can connect. So you can see here, you can visualize your network, which is a lot of fun. You can see people here I'm connected to within the community. You might see some people that are from your area. And then you can also request virtual exchange. So if you're looking to connect with a classroom in a different part of the world, you can post a time and a day and a topic that you're interested in, and that will allow you to connect with others. So this is the Climate Action Project. It kicks off next month in September, and we would love to have you join in with us. So I'm going to share. This is climateactionproject.org. This is again through our organization, and it starts on September 30th. So I'm going to put this link here for you all, and I'll publish it. Okay, so it should land right there. And we'll put it up here at the top for you. Climate Action Project. Let me check and see. We have some questions here. What does SDG stand for? It looks like we have someone answering the Sustainable Development Goals. That's right. We do have some ways you can work with our early childhood students. I'll share those. And then, oh, it looks like Banu, you're asking exactly what we were just talking about. How can we connect with each other? So hopefully you can use that platform to connect with other classrooms and exchange ideas. All right, let me check in on our chat. All right, we're looking perfect. All right. So the next thing I want to share with you is coming up on November 7th. So there is a big global conversation called COP. It is an event. Last year it was held in Dubai. This year it's in Azerbaijan, and it travels the world. Next year it will be in Brazil. So this is a forum where all of the world's leaders, presidents, prime ministers, and scientists come together to talk about climate action. Last year was the first year we had an emphasis on climate action education. And we always have an online free global event that teachers and students can be at the center of the work. So make sure you mark your calendars, November 7th. This is the Climate Action Day, and we always have wonderful speakers who will join. We've had President Robinson from Ireland. We have Princess Esmeralda of Belgium. We've had Malala's father, Prince William of England. Last year we had Tony Hawk, a pretty cool skateboarder. So every year we have world leaders, and we also have opportunities for classrooms to present. So please be sure to mark your calendars, register for the Climate Action Day event, and this is something that you and your students can participate in. Climate Action. There's the link for that one. See, it's processing, and then I'll post that one up for you. Great. Okay, and put that there. And then I'm going to share one more resource with you for today, which is called the Earth Project app. Now, this is a free mobile app that can be used in the classroom and by young people. So you can download this app. It is available on iOS and Android. And this app will allow you to track your daily activities. So if you're in a classroom and you want to see the impact of actions, and if your students want to better understand the connection to carbon and the work that you're doing and how does that relate to the planet, then you can use this app to set goals and track those actions. You'll see here, there's also a way of collaborating. So within the app, you can create and join teams. So maybe you want to create a class team, and you and your students can work together and have that collective impact that we talked about at the beginning. Maybe you want to have a buddy and work with someone who's in a different part of the world to track your actions. So Earth Project app, and this is available free for everyone to use as well. So this will be the final resource that I'm going to add in on our board here today. And so this will be on our Padlet board. Okay, so let's see. We have Take Action Global Resources here for you. The Goals Project, again, just to recap, the Goals Project will be returning in January. It is a project specifically around the 17 SDGs. It is a great way to kick off integrating the global goals into your classrooms with ideas across the curriculum. So if you're talking about sciences, social studies, arts, literacy, numeracy, the Goals Project could be a great resource for you in your class. Climate Action Day is actually coming up sooner, so it starts next month. We'd love to have you participate in that. We are looking most specifically at SDG 13 with climate action, and then that event will culminate on Climate Action Day, November 7th. Earth Project app is something you can use all year long. So that's something you can download. You can use it with your family, with your friends. Anyone's able to access that app. And then I have some other resources that I will be sure to include in because I'll share with you. We have work with Lego Build the Change. And so we are launching every month mini missions that you can use in your classroom. You can use Lego bricks, but you can use any types of resources. You can see here using recycled materials, arts and crafts resources. And then I'll share here, this is a project that a teacher did. So I'll share this entire presentation deck with you that you can access. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to pause here, go back to our Padlet board, and then look at our questions we have, because I'd love to hear questions from you all. Again, I'll do a quick look. It looks like we're still getting in some of these graphics. Oh, this is beautiful. I love this. Wonderful. Amina, focusing on SDG 13. I love this. Oh, I love this one. So I have to say, I live here on the Gulf Coast. And so I love talking about ways that we can protect our planet through our local waters and oceans. Oh, that's how clever. That's fantastic. Showing deforestation. So thank you all for your creative ideas and your collaboration in this board. So, okay, so I'm going to pause here and look at questions. Is there different ways of looking at integrating SDGs? It looks like your question here is more around if you're looking at it in terms of younger students, older students. So the way that we approach the SDGs is looking at what you're already working on in your curricula and then building on that. So everyone can be a part of the conversation. We have programs that are for students as young as age 3, so early childhood students. Again, getting students in project-based learning, hands-on activities for all ages, not just our youngest learners. But I do think that's a wonderful way to start. Bringing in experts from the community, having conversations. As we start to get into our older ages, we can really follow their passions. We have students that I mentioned before, they're creating inventions, they're using science and discovery through research. So there is such a need for research in this area across all of the SDGs. The UN has many calls for action. And if you're interested in working more with the United Nations, please keep me posted, send me an email. Let me see if I'll add my email address here. And if you want to send me an email to get connected, I'd love to hear from you. I know Dr. Salam and I have been talking a lot recently about more ways that you all can get involved. So I'd love to talk through that as well. Thank you for those. I'll come back here and look at the chat now for questions too. Or if anyone wants to raise their hand, I know Ms. Sohini, if you want to have anyone share questions, I'm happy to take those for our last couple minutes.
Yes, I think there were a few questions with respect to the resources, and I have already answered that all the resources are being shared through the Padlet. Apart from that, a few questions that have been asked by the educators. One of them is how they can integrate the SDGs with the extracurricular activities that are practiced in school.
With
Would
the
you like to
curricular, I would love to. So with the curricular activities that are already happening in classrooms, how can we integrate the SDGs in? Am I responding to that question correctly?
Yes. Apart from the core academics, the activities that we have, how we can, make the SDGs a part of those activities.
That's great. So I get questions like that a lot. I have to say, we as teachers have a lot on our plate. We have a lot of requirements that we are faced with every year. We have a full curriculum. I think different from when I was a student, and it was a heavy focus on like learning to read, learning to do math. There's a lot of pressure on our teachers now to accomplish a lot in a short period of time. So I'm always thinking with that in mind first. A few things I can suggest for our busy teachers. First is that SDG poster with the 17 goals. I always recommend print that poster out and hang it in your classroom. That is a first way to ignite inspiration and creative ideas and a conversation. So I always have people post that SDG poster in your classroom and then see what happens. And so teachers don't have to feel like they're experts across every SDG. Use that as a moment where if students or other teachers are coming to you, what are those SDGs? And you can say, this is something I'm learning about. Do you want to join with me? So that would be a first step. The second step is, I would say, look at what you are already working on, what you're already doing, or something that's exciting to you, and build on that. So don't make it something new. Don't create a new class around it. Say, we are working on these specific goals for this year. Maybe in your your history class, you're looking at a specific historical time, and maybe you could look at that compared to today and then compare that to the future. So build on those types of activities. I would also say, finally, is find another teacher teaching something different and find a way to connect that interdisciplinary connection and say, okay, I'm working on history, but maybe this teacher is working on outdoor education. And so we could build a community garden and look at the foods from this historical period, and we could grow those in on our campus. So there's so many fun things that you can do. But I always say, start with the goals, placing them in your classroom, and look at the goals you have in your own curricula. So hopefully that helps.
Yes. Thank you for answering that question. I think someone raised a hand there.
Oh, great.
Could you please raise your hand again? And if you wish to ask the question, because you have logged in through the device name, yes, please go ahead. Yes, I can see 1+ NORD N10 5G. Okay, you could rename yourself, or you can straight away ask your question. Please go ahead.
Why is SDG that important, Miss?
What a fantastic question. So these global goals, 17 goals, were established in the year 2015. Our entire world came together on these goals. I can tell you they are very ambitious goals. If you look at the SDGs, they are approaching some of the biggest challenges of our time: poverty, gender equality, sustainable cities. So these aren't small problems that can be addressed by one country, one person in 1 year. They are going to go on for a long period of time. We are also at the halfway point. So we are at the midpoint on our way to reaching 2030. I saw there were so many young people here today. Think about where you're at today, your age. Maybe you're 12, and think about how old are you going to be in 2030? And think about the actions that you can take today and how you might be able to reimagine our world as we look ahead. So a future forward way of thinking. It looks like Miss, okay.
That must have been by mistake.
That's
I think,
totally okay. I think that's great.
yes,
But
yes. Yes, please, you were saying something. I'm so sorry. Yes.
no, you're great. I was just going to respond and saying, why are they important? I think they're important because they give us a blueprint for action. There are going to be some goals that we are behind on. We are not where we need to be at this midpoint as we go towards 2030. So we need to accelerate. The UN General Assembly leader has said to us, we need to move faster if we want to reach these goals. This is a critical time, specifically when we think about climate action, that we need to move fast. We need support. I do have my greatest hope in teachers and students. I believe we are the best hope that our world has. So opportunities like this, where we can ask questions, we can think together, and we can share with the world, really are important. So if you are a youth here, you have all of my support. Anything you need, please bring your ideas forward. You are our future.
Yeah, that adequately answers the question and tells us the real purpose behind it, right? Yes, Hanu, I think your question is next. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Yeah, my question is that in the beginning, we started with that there would be some kind of assessments to understand the process of SDGs and everything. So my question is divided into two parts. If we go about assessment, how do we go about it? And once we have assessment, the students, they start their interest is taken away in terms of when anything comes with assessment, they don't enjoy. So how do we go about it? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Banu. So assessment is tricky. I found early on with the SDGs that teachers were using assessment in terms of like memorization. So what are the 17 goals? What is SDG 11? Okay, that's sustainable cities. What I love to see is how we've progressed from that. And now we're looking at a lot of rubrics are being used when we talk about the SDGs. They're collaborative, so teachers and students working together to set out a plan of action. This is just what we do in work too. So I have a project that I'm working on. There are checkpoints along the way that I can monitor my progress to make sure I'm reaching my goal. So there's a lot of interviews and conversations. And then looking at the end, so what is your product? And so if you look at the goals project or the climate action project, for instance, at the end of those projects, a product is created and shared. And so that can be in many different forms. Maybe we have students creating videos. Maybe we have students developing websites. Maybe we have them, as you saw with the Legos, building with the materials and resources that are in front of them. So I think for me, the best types of assessment when we're talking about sustainable development are co-created. And so students at the beginning of the project saying, these are my goals. I would like to create, and then what does that look like? And then the teacher is really acting as a facilitator of that learning to help move that process along. So it's very different when we're looking at project-based learning compared to kind of these test-based assessments that are more focused on memorization. So, but we're working through that. So if you're interested, Banu, with the work you're doing with students, I can meet with you and share more too on some examples that we have. And so I think the last point I'll make on that too is it's also about storytelling, getting those ideas out to the world. And so there's opportunities too for feedback on those ideas from an authentic audience. And that could be community members, peers, other teachers, giving feedback and then seeing that iterative process in action.
That's wonderfully articulated. I think if we take the monotony away and it is not about an assessment of retention of information, students will find themselves more engaged in the process. Okay, I think the next question is coming from Divya. Yes, over to you, Divya.
Hi, good evening all. And this is not a question, since you were talking about integrating SDGs in the curriculum. I would like to share a few things that we do in our school.
Great.
My school is in Kochi, Ernakulam. You may know, in Kerala. And its name is Sanskara, and we have a club called Sustainable Sanskara Student Club as a part of club activity. So we do a lot of activity throughout the year. The houses, the house system, hope you know about house system. So we have 4 houses. All the children are divided into 4 houses, and we have given the plots. 4 plots, and children are making gardens there. We have started planting trees and starting Miyawaki forest there. And even the club's activities are going, like making paper bags, and even last year exhibition was also, the theme was this, sustainability and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And our annual day last year, it was also based on sustainability. The entire show was based on this. So these are some of the examples that we do a lot of things. So we are trying to inculcate this into the children's lives by making them doing, just rather than spreading awareness. We are trying to involve their families also, even spreading awareness among the whole info park. We are our school is in the smart city. So we are trying to inculcate even marathons we arrange, and such programs we are arranging. Thank you.
Oh, Divya. Okay, so what you have created is like my dream, because it's a systems level approach. It goes into the DNA of everything across your school community. So I love hearing about your house system. I've always been fascinated by that. I've heard about other schools doing it, but the way you're doing it connected to sustainability is really interesting to me. I think the fact that you're connecting out with parents and everyone is included. I think so many of the teachers I work with really aspire to having support like that at the school level, and being able to move it outside of just one class or one subject to having it be infused into everything. So congratulations for all that you're doing. I'd love to, if you want to email me more, if you have anything that you can share on that, I'd love to see it and keep connected.
I think before we could go to the next question, I would like to take a moment here and thank Extra Mile Education and Training for bringing all of us together. You know, this is where we are sharing our best practices. And from across the world, we're coming to know what are the best practices and how we can inculcate them in our classrooms. I think a lot of credit goes to Dr. Salam and the platform for that. Yes. I think the next question, could you please rename yourself?
Sohini ma'am, just a minute.
Yes.
Yes, big thank you, Miss Divya, for your efforts, and congratulations. Absolutely. And these activities, SDG activities, we began with Dr. Jennifer Williams only from 2019, I believe. And we have a lot of schools joined in the climate action project, and then pandemic and all. During that pandemic, we did it through online media. And we even conducted 3 projects, 3 years as 3 seasons, season 1, 2, 3, wherein schools 54, 65 schools from across, they have conducted, their students have participated, and the output was amazing, and we have motivated them with the trophies and prizes. And I believe we will continue that with the help of Dr. Jennifer this year as well. Thank you so much.
Yes. I think we have one more question from OnePlus. If you could rename yourself, that would be great. Otherwise, please go ahead and ask your question. I call you out again. Okay, I think Miss.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the main purpose of this class, Miss?
Happy to take that. So the main purpose of is that our session today, or this idea around SDGs, do you think?
Yes, I think that has been made adequately clear by Miss Jennifer throughout the session. Thanks for your question, though. I'll go to Miss Smita next. Yes, Miss Smita?
Yes, Very good evening, Salam sir. Thank you so very much. This was really, and good evening, Jennifer ma'am, and good evening, all the educators. Thank you so very much, Jennifer ma'am, for actually sharing incredible, experiences. And I would like to ask one simple question. And next month, in the month of September itself, I, being a geography teacher, I'm going to conduct actually this the chapter of climate we are going to take. So I just wanted to know the date. September, you have told. I would like to. Would you kindly repeat that date?
Yes. Thank you. Oh, and I love that you have a focus on geography. So my background is in Montessori education. I can tell you here in the United States, in my state of Florida, geography was removed as a subject like 10, 15 years ago, which was really sad to see, especially with this focus on building global competencies. So thrilled to hear that you're teaching geography. It's such an important subject. So I'm totally with you. I think the climate action project with a geography unit could be a great idea. So we are going to kick off the climate action project on September 30th, and it runs through November 7th. Again, and as Dr. Salam said, it is a project for all, but it is flexible. So if some of those times don't work for you, or maybe you want to focus on it for a specific part of that project, you absolutely can do that. But it will run from September 30th through November 7th. And it is a global community. So you'll be able, even just the map alone, you can see where classrooms are joining in from. And then you can connect, as I shared on the website, you can connect with other classrooms and see what.
Dr. Jennifer, is the registration open for that?
It is, yes.
It is, okay.
It sure is. So let me grab the, I'll put the link here in the chat too. It's also in our Padlet board. Registration is open, and it's available all year long. So it's not facilitated all year long, but you can access the resources in the community anytime you'd like.
All right. Is there any other question that you would like to ask live, or I can fetch a question from the Padlet itself? I have seen
there are a few questions in the chat box also.
Yes, I believe I have asked them all. How can we incorporate the SDG through project-based learning? Okay, if you would like to take it again, I think you have answered that question, but if you would like to take it up again.
Okay, so the project-based learning, that is something that we really do emphasize, and we're curious about. I think right now, when we talk about climate action education, the fact that you are all here talking about sustainable development means you are leaders in this space, because climate action education specifically, is really developing and evolving as we speak. So we need all of the minds of all of the educators from around the world to really jump in and contribute. Similarly, project-based learning is an instructional practice, like from my world of Montessori education, that has been something that's been integrated for over 100 years. But compared to traditional education, we are now finding ways for our students to build, create, and design through learning. So project-based learning, the way I view it with my instruction, is different from traditional education, where I may, as the teacher, have the answer that I hope my students can come to. Differently, with project-based learning, it's an opportunity for me as a teacher to come and maybe not necessarily know the answer. The students are able to create that knowledge and build the knowledge through the process of learning. So project-based learning can look very differently. It can be building and creating, or maybe it's writing, creative writing, poetry. They're building different products through that process. So it is very much focused on the process, which lends to the integration of the SDGs. The SDGs just become this nice space where students can explore. Again, one of your young people asked this question around, why are the SDGs important? And I think SDGs, we don't necessarily know the answer. We don't have the the clear path forward. We're having to figure it out. So project-based learning, I think, really helps with that.
Yes, thank you. I think next question comes from Vinita Nanda. She's asking, how do we figure out our SDGs are in focus as many are interlinked? Please guide.
Oh, okay, right. And is that from Vinita?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
good. Hi, Vinita. Okay, so I think it depends. Sometimes I have, I mean, if I'm understanding the question correctly, looking at the interconnection between the SDGs
Right.
or looking at them in isolation. So I know there was a lot of discussion around the SDGs when they came through the development process. They're compartmentalizing them. You know, you see even SDG 4 isolated on its own as quality education. I see the SDGs and I'm like, we're doing all of this as teachers. It's really hard to break it down and be like, well, I'm only going to focus on SDG 4 because, as I mentioned, I really care about SDG 13 and SDG 17. So sometimes I do see teachers saying, we're going to take a few of those SDGs and work on them together. Sometimes, and what we do with the goals project even, is where we do assign one global goal. So let's say maybe we're focused on SDG 5, which is gender equality, but then they're saying, okay, well, we're talking about, and you kind of let the students come to it on their own. We're talking about gender, but how can we talk about gender if we're not talking about poverty and hunger and quality education? So that's another activity that's really fun that you can do. We do this with a lot of our classrooms, is select a goal, but then maybe you could do it with sticky notes too. Look at the connections between the other goals. And it's really how it's that systems level approach. It's how everything works together and contributes to progress. In terms of assessment, I think that there was maybe a component of that with the question. When you're looking at assessing, looking at one SDG versus looking at a number of them, something I always go back to is the SDGs are kind of the path to a goal. I don't think they are necessarily the goal. So for me, it's collaboration, it's building knowledge, it is creativity. So how can we use the SDGs to get to our instructional goals? So I try to keep focused on my instructional goals and use the SDGs as a pathway to get there, if that makes sense. Someone else coming from a different world, maybe a different industry, might be saying, well, we have a very specific focus on water. And so they're going to be looking at something different than we are as educators. So keep focused on your instructional, your own constructional goals, and then find ways to integrate. That's the best way I've seen it.
Dr.
Yes,
Jennifer, Sohini ma'am,
yes.
just a minute. Dr.
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
we have a few students join from different schools. So
Great.
I would like to, thank them and congratulate them for their, great interest in knowing SDGs and what message, Dr. Jennifer, you would like to give to them, how they should go about, please.
I absolutely echo you and thanking these young people for being here today. You're taking time out of your evening to be a part of this conversation, and I truly applaud you. You are the leaders. And for me, I can say, I'm just trying to get out of the way and follow your lead. So bring your ideas, create change by leading. And so if you have something that you want to do in your community, in your classroom, within your school, ask your teachers. Your teachers are curious and want to support you. So go to them, talk to your parents. You are a steward of the global goals. So the only way we're going to get there, I believe, is through you and your ideas. So again, thank you for spending your time being with us tonight. I'd love to hear from you, and we have opportunities for you to share your ideas with presenting on global stages. So you have my email address, send me a message at any time.
Thank you so much. That was really heartwarming, a message to be given to the students. Now the next question comes from Miss Brinda. Brinda?
Hello all, good evening. I'm from UAE, actually, from Sharjah. Actually, I want to share something. Actually, last year onwards, we start connecting SDG goals into our lesson plan. So actually, our lesson plan designed like that. So the students will be familiar with each SDG goal. Based on each subjects or based on each topics, we are connecting different SDG goals. So they will be familiar with that. And also before ma'am, you explained about 17 classes. Actually, last year we did all the 71 I'm handling grade 5. We have 17 divisions are there. Each sections have taken one SDG goal. They're mainly focused on that SDG goal. Then we showcase some ideas why we need that SDG goal, what is the importance. For teaching them students, they made some project based on each class. Then they project we displayed on our wall. So it was actually it's a great experience for us and also even students. They come to an idea why we need SDG goal. That's the purpose of that activity. And each lesson actually we are focused on one SDG goal. Like for example, if you are teaching about something, I'm a social studies teacher. For example, election, so that we connected with the SDG goal number 5, gender equality. Like that, we connected each subject teachers. We are sitting together and we are discussing with the multi subject. We are connecting together. We are making some project-based activity for this purpose. So that's I want to share that things with you. That's why I just.
Oh, I love it. I love that so much. I mean, how empowering for your different divisions in your classrooms, but then to have the students learning from other students. I shared that with the Goals Project. That was one of my favorite parts too. And
yes, seriously.
displaying
Also
that is really amazing.
Yes, last year our sports day we did some activity. So we are making the drill, no, that mass drill. So each students they're holding these placards and they are introducing each goals. Then all other students, the small one also will get an idea what it is all symbols means.
I'm going to show you too. So the visual representation you created on your walls, someone else had mentioned an expedition too. I think those levels of commitment, just like posting the poster on a wall in a classroom, it helps others that are visiting the school know that that is something you all care about. You are prioritizing. You're going to be doing the work. Something else that I wear often, and let me see if I can show you. So this is a pin. Isn't that beautiful? That comes from, maybe if I put it in front of me, you'll see better. There you go. It's you can get these at the United Nations, but I always wear it on my lapel. And then if people I see often in New York, there's a lot of people wearing these, but these are other things you can do. Your students can create them, make them. I mean, you can add them to your email signature. I'm committed to the SDGs. And so those visual representations really do serve as action in themselves. So they're an advocacy and awareness symbol. So congratulations to you all, and hi to everyone in UAE as well.
Thank you,
That's
ma'am.
incredible. That's incredible. I think the next question is from Yolanda. Please go ahead. Yolanda, you have a question? Please go ahead.
Good evening. This is Yolanda from TI School, Ambattur. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yeah. Actually, in TI School, we started integrating even our display boards, the display boards, corridor display boards. Our assemblies are also taking care with SDG boards. So I'm actually happy to say that.
Great. I mean, I think the display boards are a fantastic idea. So nice to connect with you, Yolanda. The classroom, like a bulletin board, we call them here in the United States. So a display board can be a virtual display board. It can be a physical display board. And those can also grow. I always start with those like blank at the beginning of the year. Again, you can put the SDG poster or the SDG wheel. The SDG poster is so inviting with the colors and the icons. Fantastic idea.
Thank you, Yolanda.
And even all our classrooms, as you said, our classrooms, all the classrooms have got what you wanted, the goals being displayed in each classroom.
Wow. I love to hear that. Anytime you can send pictures of those too. and if you share them on
Sure.
social media, I put the hashtags that you can use, but
Sure,
I'd
sure,
love to
ma'am.
share them
Yeah.
on mine. So send them my way. We're always excited to share
Sure, ma'am. Yeah.
classroom ideas. Thank you, Yolanda.
Looks
Thank
like
you.
we
Have a
all
nice
share
day.
the same passion for
I
these
know
goals.
this is a great group. They're amazing teachers. You all are doing so much already. And that was the thing. I'm like, I'll come share, but I know you are leading the way. So it's just an honor for me to hear from you.
All right. So as we conclude this enlightening session, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to Dr. Jennifer Williams for sharing her vast knowledge and experience with us. Your commitment to integrating the Sustainable Development Goals into education and your innovative approaches have provided us with valuable insights that we can apply in our own classrooms. Thank you, Dr. Williams, for your time and for inspiring us to make meaningful differences through education. Dear participants, as you might have already seen, that we have sent the feedback and certificate form using the chat box. Please use the same for applying for the certificates and for sharing your valuable feedback. Once again, I, Shohini, on behalf of everyone here at Extra Mile, would like to express our sincere thanks to Dr. Jennifer Williams for her invaluable contribution to this session. We are also deeply grateful to Dr. Abdul Salam for his continued support and leadership. Lastly, a big thank you to all the participants, especially the young children, the young students who are present here to share this passion and vision. And thank you for your active engagement and enthusiasm. We hope that this session has provided you with the tools and ideas to integrate the Sustainable Development Goals into your regular practices, and quite effectively so. Over to you, Dr. Salam.
Thank you, Ms. Shokini. I have something to tell the participants, teachers who have joined. Dear teachers, we are providing you an international opportunity wherein you can connect with lots of countries. Your children will be getting an exposure for collaboration, and they will be doing projects. They will be doing their, what do you call, solving their problems in their community, and they will be discussing the issues with their collaborators across the globe. So this is a wonderful opportunity which Dr. Jennifer has been giving to the world through different schools and leaders. And I would like to request each and every school to get this, grab this opportunity, and you can note down Dr. Jennifer Williams, address. You can visit the page takeactionglobal.org, I believe. You can, madam will be typing, and students definitely they will be guided by teachers, and we will go hand in hand, and we will come up with action plans. I will discuss with Dr. Jennifer and how we will go about. We need leaders from you. Everybody is a leader, so we can lead each state or district, whatever. We, across India, we have lots of issues happening in India, and Ministry of Education is also focusing their attention to environmental education. And as you know, many have shared their best practices. Many schools are doing, but yet some schools are yet to do. We will do it together. We will come up with lots of action plans. And thank you on behalf of everybody who have gathered. A big round of applause to Dr. Jennifer Williams. It is her morning day, weekend, which has spent on us for educating us, throwing light and inspiration how to go about integrating SDGs into our curriculum and curricular activities. Thank you so much, Dr. Jennifer Williams. We will discuss for further action. Thank you so much, Sokini, for the wonderful moderation. You have been appreciated by Dr. Jennifer. Thank you so much, each and everyone. Thank you, Mr. Gilson Tembo, for joining, and all the lovely kids and teachers. Thank you so much. Keep connected. Good night. And good day to Dr. Jennifer Williams. Thank you.
Good
Bye,
day, Dr.
everyone.
Jennifer.
Thank
See you
you.
around.